Hey guys, Joel's back with another reasoning session, and today I'm going to be talking about narratives. And while this can apply to mainstream media, this literally applies to any story we tell ourselves.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
Now, I know I don't need to tell a lot of you guys that a lot of the news and a lot of the stories that are being perpetrated in the mainstream media, their perspective isn't exactly spot on. And a lot of it is actually geared towards harnessing like a reaction of fear in people. And it's actually that fear that's the root cause of a lot of problems that unfold subsequently, because that fear or that doubt is the first thing that creeps in. And then when we doubt our vision, or we doubt that certainty in source, that source can actually meet all our needs, that's the first step in trying to work things out in the ego or in the physical realm. And then that escalates and we actually end up cutting ourselves off from whatever source was really bringing our way from the beginning. But what do these stories actually do to us? Honestly, they just eat away at us and they grow like cancer. And a phrase that just jumped off the page at me was in the second epistle to Timotheus. And it's talking about this very thing, warning against media or stories or narratives, whatever we're telling ourselves that disintegrate or that pull us away from that truth that source is talking about. What kind of things are these? It says, shun profane and vain babblings. That pretty much sums it up, right? Profane just means like you're dealing with the mundane world, or you're dealing with whatever you can see, like what's out there. Profane literally means common. And vain babblings, well, that's something that's not really substantial, or it's not something that you can actually do anything with. Basically gossip, right? But the language that's being used here is really telling, because yes, at the end of the day, these things are just babblings because you really can't do much about it anyway. But then it goes on to tell you just what this stuff will actually do to you. It says, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And like I said, when you're fearful, you just build on that paradigm, and that actually pulls you away from that connection with source. And their word will eat, as does a canker. And that's talking about cancer. When you get a cancer, it just takes over, and then it uses the very cells that are actually part of that organism, turns them around against that organism. That's what we're seeing with a lot of the stories that are being perpetrated nowadays. We're seeing that the very people that we could have trusted are actually turning against us and are actually using those self-same narratives and just eating up those relationships, just eating up the community that we used to have with people. It's just eating it up from the inside out, getting your own people, brainwashing your own people and getting them to turn against you. There's really nothing more piercing than that. But what is it that we can do in order to divert from that kind of paradigm? What are the things that we can actually focus on that actually bring life into the situation, or at least our own lives? We can start there, right? We might not be able to change other people right away, but we can lead by example, and we can take care of what we are feeding our own minds through our eye gate, through our ear gate, right? What are those kind of things? Well, in another epistle to the group of the saints at Philippi, Paul sums it up absolutely perfectly. He says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. And once again, he's summing it all up in one, because man, there are things that might be true. People might be harping on truth, but that doesn't mean that they're lovely. So when you take it all together and you take it into account and you say, is this really going to build my soul up? Is this really going to make me encouraged into being who I'm here to be? Or if I focus on this kind of story, is it just going to make me more depressed and want to give up? Right? That's what we're focusing on. We know we have a trajectory in mind, and we know that everything that we're doing in the meantime will either get us there faster or slower. Actually, some of the things might even divert us, stop us from reaching our goal, stop us from achieving our vision. So we want to take really good care, because There's nothing better than actually living a good life. And when you're fulfilled and living your best life yet, you're manifesting that good into the world. No one's best life involves any kind of hardship, any kind of pain, any kind of backstabbing or manipulation. That's not their best life. They're doing that because they're still stuck in the ego and they're trying to pull in the physical without realizing how this all works. And it works through tapping in to source, tapping into love, tapping into communion between your fellow man. And that, my friends, is how we're going to manifest our best life yet. Not just for our generation, but for all those who follow. All right, so with that being said, Joel's going to sign out once again. I love you guys. Stay optimistic. Do your part. Agape. Salaam. Namaste.